Okay, so you've probably heard it a million times, right? That advice. Just keep showing up. It sounds good, feels diligent.
It really does. It's comforting.
Exactly. But today, we're digging into something from Twisted Thoughts. It's a blog, actually, from the #1 growth coordinator in chiropractic. And it really questions that whole idea.
Right. Questions whether just showing up is, actually enough for the kind of deep progress people are usually looking for.
Yeah. And look, the source is from the chiropractic field, but honestly, the ideas, they apply pretty much everywhere to any kind of growth, really. So that's what we're focusing on,
The bigger picture.
the bigger picture. We're going to unpack why just being there day in and day out can sometimes be, well, surprisingly ineffective, and what the better approach might actually look like.
Because that phrase, just keep showing up, it does hit home for a lot of folks. There's this like surface comfort to it. It seems like commitment.
It feels like you're doing something,
Yeah.
just by virtue of being present. But this blog post, it kind of throws a wrench in that right away. It says that comfort, it can be really misleading.
Misleading how? Like masking something else.
Yeah, masking a lack of real strategy. And this is where it gets interesting, maybe a little counterintuitive. If your showing up isn't tied to actually evolving, you might not be building resilience.
Okay. So what are you building instead?
Well, the blog calls it scar tissue.
Scar tissue. Wow, that's quite an image.
Isn't it? It really paints a picture of like doing the same things over and over, things that don't work, and just getting hardened, maybe tougher, but not actually better, not advancing.
Yeah, that makes sense. It draws a really sharp line between just being busy and actually, moving forward with a clear purpose.
Right. And it makes you ask yourself, for you, the listener, what does showing up really mean in your day-to-day?
Is it just posting something online every day?
Yeah.
Or being physically in the office? Or maybe pushing the same offer out again and again?
Exactly. Because presence alone isn't the goal,
Yeah.
right? It's the starting line.
Which leads nicely into this distinction the post makes between grit and, well, what it calls masochism.
Okay, grit versus masochism. Let's break that down. Showing up is step one, the baseline.
Right. But grit, according to this piece, isn't just sticking with it. It's about using failure setbacks as actual feedback
Feedback to do what, though?
to adjust, to tweak your approach based on what you learn from things not working out. It's that intelligent persistence.
Okay, so grit learns and adapts.
Mm-hmm.
Then what's masochism in this context?
Masochism is described as like using failure almost like proof of how hard you're trying, like a badge of honor, even if the strategy itself is just dead in the water.
So doubling down on stuff that clearly isn't working just to show you're putting in the hours.
Exactly. It's that stubbornness. The blog gives a good example. Think about social media.
Okay.
So a post bombs. Grit means you look at it, you try to figure out why it bombed, and then you change the message or the image or maybe the audience for the next one.
Makes sense. Learning.
But masochism, that's like posting the exact same failed message again tomorrow and the day after, just because you think consistency is the most important thing, even if it consistently falls flat.
Which, wow, that brings us to this kind of wild idea in the piece.
Yeah.
That consistency sometimes can actually be the enemy.
Okay, hold on. Consistency is the enemy. We hear the opposite all the time. Consistency is key. Consistency is courage.
I know, right? It sounds backwards. But the argument here is that showing up without awareness, without asking if what you're doing is actually working, that's not brave. The blog calls it blind.
Blind consistency. So you're putting in the effort, but it's not hitting the mark.
Yeah, like you could be consistently marketing day in, day out, but if the message is wrong for your audience, you're just consistently invisible or ignored.
It's like hammering on a locked door. And the piece says that kind of consistency without the self-check isn't discipline. It's just inertia.
Inertia, just rolling along without direction. Oof.
Yeah. And they give some really concrete examples of this kind of pointless showing up, things that probably sound familiar.
Lay them on me. I bet they do.
Okay, like launching the exact same service or product to the same audience that already didn't buy it over and over.
We're hoping this time it'll magically work. Yeah, seen that.
Or keep contacting people who've already given you a hard no.
Persistent, but maybe not smart.
Right. Or sticking with, say, old software or marketing platforms just because you always have, long after they stopped being effective.
It really is like a broken record, isn't it? Just playing the same failed tune.
Exactly. So if just being there and being consistent isn't the answer, what is?
This is where the piece really pivots. It says, true success, real progress, It doesn't come from just showing up. It comes from evolving.
Evolving. Okay, tell me more about that. How is it different?
Well, it shifts the whole focus. It's not just about being present, it's about making an impact. The people who really break through, they're constantly evolving.
Meaning what? What are they actually doing?
They're recognizing when something's not working anymore, and they're willing to change course
Mm-hmm.
strategically. They don't let their ego or, how much effort they already put in stop them from making a needed shift.
Okay, so less attachment to old ways. What else?
They reframe things.
Yeah.
They rethink your whole strategy. They're ready to completely ditch something old if a better way emerges. The goal isn't getting a gold star for trying hard.
Getting results.
It's getting results, period.
Right. And that leads into another really crucial point the blog makes. The difference between adapting and evolving.
Yes, this is key. They sound similar, but the piece argues they're fundamentally different mindsets, different ways of operating.
Okay, let's get clear on this. Adapting, as the blog defines it, is basically reacting, right? Things change around you and you adjust.
Exactly. You're responding to the external world, like the wind changes, so you adjust your sails.
Makes sense. So then evolving is...
Evolving is proactive. You're not just reacting. You're often the one causing the change. You're shaping the environment, not just being shaped by it.
Okay, shaping versus reacting. The blog apparently has like a grid or something
Yeah.
to show that.
Yeah, it lays it out across different areas. Super helpful. Again, it's geared towards chiropractors,
Yeah.
but the principles, totally universal.
Give us some examples. Let's take marketing.
Okay, marketing.
Yeah.
Adapting might be quickly boosting a social media post when you see leads drying up, just reacting to the slump.
Right, a quick fix. And evolving.
Evolving is like building a whole automated system for generating leads, something robust that works consistently, proactively bringing people in.
Got it. Big difference. What about something like pricing?
Adapting. Maybe lowering your prices because competitors did or because things are slow. Just reacting to market pressure.
Okay. And evolving with pricing?
Evolving is more like creating a premium, high-value offer that makes price less of an issue for the right people. You're defining the value, not just reacting to the market price.
Interesting. How about with, say, services or care plans?
Adapting could be just tweaking things based on every single patient request, constantly adjusting reactive.
Whereas evolve.
Evolving is more like proactively teaching the value, the beliefs behind the plan, getting that deep buy-in from the start, so you're setting the terms.
Okay, I see the pattern. Let's do one more, maybe. Team building.
Adapting.
Yeah.
Someone quits, you scramble to hire anyone fast. Reactive.
Evolving. You're always building a strong culture, always nurturing talent, so you have a pipeline. Proactive.
Exactly. And it goes on like this for technology, content, community stuff, leadership, always contrasting that reactive adaptation with proactive evolution.
It really clarifies things. Adapting feels like you're always playing catch-up, just trying to survive.
Totally. The blog sums it up so well. Adapting is basically survival mode. Evolving, that's where you start writing the new rules.
Writing the rules. I like that.
Yeah, and there's this quote. It really stuck with me. Being adaptable means the world pushes you and you flinch. Evolving means you push the world and it moves.
Wow, that's
Right.
powerful.
Isn't it? And the point is, if all you're doing is trying to adapt better or faster than others, you're kind of limiting yourself. The blog says you're basically aiming for second place, at best.
So, focusing on evolution instead of just adaptation, what's the real payoff there? Why push for that?
Well, the payoff is huge, according to this piece. It changes the whole dynamic. Adapting might keep you afloat, keep you in the game.
But evolving.
Evolving makes you essential, indispensable even. It makes people seek you out. Specifically, they'll often pay more, wait longer, because you offer something fundamentally different, something they can't get just anywhere.
So it shifts you from being just another option to being the destination.
Exactly. You become a leader. Others start watching you, following your lead. It requires building what the blog calls a new identity.
An identity based on
your unique strengths, your vision, how you're actively shaping things, not just on how well you can roll with the punches.
Okay, so just being durable isn't enough.
Right. The piece basically concludes that if you settle for just being adaptable, you're just delaying becoming truly, well, undeniable. You're putting off becoming that driving force.
Undeniable. Okay. So wrapping this up, the big takeaway from this deep dive into twisted thoughts seems pretty clear. Just clocking in, just showing up, while necessary, it's really not sufficient for meaningful long-term progress.
Not on its own, no. It gives you that feeling of doing something, but without that engine of evolution underneath, learning, adjusting smartly, proactively changing the game, you could just be spinning your wheels.
So maybe a good moment for everyone listening to pause and reflect a bit. Are your efforts leading to genuine evolution? Or is it more like
Thing.
consistent activity? Are you moving forward or just moving?
Yeah, and maybe use those diagnostic areas we touched on: marketing, pricing, services, team, all that. The source material lays them out. Take an honest look.
Hmm.
Are you mostly reacting in those areas? Adapting?
Or are you actively driving the change? Are you evolving?
It's a tough question, but a really important one.
Definitely. So maybe we leave you with this to chew on. Are you consistently present or are you intentionally evolving to become undeniably different?
Maybe think about just one area, just one,
Yeah.
where you could consciously shift from merely adapting to really starting to shape things yourself.
Food for thought. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive today.
Yeah, thanks everyone.